There's med-resistant AIDS coursing through my alt-right veins. Every day I wake up at noon, log into my Twitter account, and I start to enable facts. I start to enable facts. HIV positive. HIV positive.
That was part 1 of 2 of yet another brilliant Xylene Bro composition. You can listen to part 2 at the end of the show, or if you want to listen to the whole thing right now, the SoundCloud link to what you just heard is below. Slaughtering golden calves since 2014, this is Common Filth Radio, and this is episode 105 of Common Filth Radio. Thank you very much for listening. Common Filth Extra, episode 33, available now on Bandcamp for $1 or more if you choose to pay more. Again, that's on commonfilthradio.bandcamp.com. On this episode, I talk about Odinism, disturbing pagan myth, trannies on GoFundMe, begging strangers for money for what they call top surgery, and a lot of them got a lot of money for that. GoFundMe. Go fund my breast mutilation surgery. And I also talk about public health issues from the Public Health Watch subreddit. Great subreddit. Go check them out. I read some material they posted over there, and it's all hair-raising. Again, that's over on commonfilthradio.bandcamp.com. Look, the world sucks, I get it, but it's worse to hide from it than it is to confront it. So I got this funny picture for, I don't know who said this, but it's anonymous. It says, "I only have 2 modes anymore. Angry about politics, escaping into anime land." Yes, full of pure women, nice pure women who show cleavage. And it's all good because their faces look like they're like squirrels or something. That means they're innocent. This is from the right side of the political spectrum, somebody belonging to that side of the political spectrum. And they're angry about politics and they escape into anime land. But the thing is, with this, I don't think they're escaping into anime land because they're angry about politics. I think it's because they can't cope with who they are, and politics is an outlet for that. Politics is an outlet for their anger that they feel, the disappointment they feel. I saw something a few days ago on Drudge Report. It said 1 in 6 young men are unemployed. And in a hyper-materialistic society amongst a very materialistic people, young men and young white men in particular, your source of self-worth, your sense of self-worth, comes from what? For them, because they have no mind of their own, or that's how it seems, their sense of self-worth is somebody telling them, hey, you're worth something, here's a check. Here's something you can put into your bank account. Their sense of self-worth isn't not derived from how they treat themselves, how they treat others, their conduct, their sense of right and wrong. Things that actually matter, their self-worth, has nothing to do with that. And that's very sad. So among the unemployed curmudgeon class, their focus is directed towards politics. Specifically the politics of race, of skin color, of genetic circumstance. You see this in Black Lives Matter, which gets most of the attention because they fit this bill. They don't have jobs, they're all on welfare, and it's deeply unfulfilling. So what do they direct their attention to? They direct their collective attention toward external problems. Police, they treating us wrong. They oppressing us. They're killing us for no reason. You know, if you're not doing stupid shit, you won't get in trouble with the cops. I've never been in trouble with the police because I don't do stupid shit. Losers love blaming other people. It's just a fact of life. It's a lot easier to blame somebody else than to blame yourself and adjust accordingly. People who have nothing going for them default to the most basic thing imaginable, which is their genetic circumstance. Black Lives Matter gets all the attention. Except for me. I go after the internet pro-whites. I've shaken my stick at their hornet's nest. I know how they are. They're insane. Again, 1 in 6 young men unemployed. They have nothing going on for themselves. They can control their circumstances. That's what men are supposed to do. If we don't, we're worthless. And I think they know that, which is why so many young white men are becoming transsexuals. It's very, very upsetting. They know that they have failed as men, so they think, oh, let me try being a woman, not realizing that they're doomed to fail at that as well. But over the last few months, I have deconstructed the myth of white infallibility. The myth of, if only white people do it, any system is tenable given a 100% white population. Let me tell you something. If you are that fragile, your societies are that fragile, that you can't deal with the occasional group of brown or Jewish belligerents, you don't deserve to survive. I know it hurts to hear, but the truth hurts, and it should hurt. It should be a good hurt. It should feel like a sore after a good workout kind of thing. That's the way it should feel, but no, you think of it as like a personal attack. Moral weakness begets a physical weakness, begets a cultural weakness. So it shouldn't be a surprise when people take advantage of that. It's feminist logic, really. They say, oh, you're victim blaming if you say that it's stupid for a girl to walk around dressed skimpily in a bad neighborhood. See, the reasoning behind that is you can't control other people, but you can control you. You can control you. You can protect yourself. You can take steps to protect yourself. Don't dress like a skank and wander into bad neighborhoods. That's it. Protect yourself. And they call that victim blaming. I tell people to stop buying what the merchant sells. Stop being a moral invalid. And people call that, well, whatever. Fill in the blank. You can use your imagination. Sound a bird makes. Or anti-white. That's anti-white. So going back to this. I only have 2 modes anymore, this person says. Angry about politics, escaping into anime land, they say. These people want everything to be a Disney movie. They want everything to be nice and pleasant. And fun and just nice. No negativity, nothing. And we can connect this to the recent YouTube thing, where a lot of popular YouTubers are losing their ad revenue because they're dealing with controversial topics. First of all, why is your livelihood dependent on ad revenue? You know, that's not covering your bases. But that's what YouTube says. No controversial topics, nothing abrasive, everything just has to be nice and pleasant. And you know that such a policy is adopted by people who are of the political left. And as we see here, people want to escape into anime land on the right. So there has to be another common denominator here. Look at the present manifestation of the right. You say that white people are really fucked up, and we need to unfuck ourselves before we're going to do anything. And they freak out. They call you a defeatist. They call you black pill. Again, using a vernacular invented by a couple of deranged transsexuals. Why do they freak out? Why? Why do they react with such petulance when the object of their worship is criticized? It's because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything dark, depressing, uncomfortable, abrasive. They don't want to hear any of it, which is why they escape into anime land. Which is why they disable ads on content they deem objectionable. 2 different groups of people. On one hand, you have unemployed curmudgeons who value nothing but their genetic circumstance. On the other end, you have careerist curmudgeons who have found out the hard way that working life isn't all it's cracked up to be. Having a nice apartment in a big city, and a salary doesn't do anything for you. I mean, it keeps you living a civilized life, but spiritually, no, nothing. They know that their contributions to modern life, whatever they may be, are empty, frivolous, meaningless, irrelevant. These two groups are plagued with doubt, crippling doubt, and they're constantly beating themselves up over it. They feel bad about who they are, about the mess that they've made of their lives. The empty materialism they've oriented their lives around. So they don't want to hear any external negativity. They want everything to be nice and clean and happy, all smiles, all reassuring. Because they know in themselves they are just the opposite of that. This is why they seek innocence in that which has none. They think, well, these groups of people aren't me, therefore they must be better. Oh, look how clean they are. Look how nice they are. Look how much they help clean up the neighborhood, help our meta-political movement, insert whatever pet cause you have here. They don't maintain a clean soul. They don't maintain a healthy spirit, which is why they count on these horrible, deviant things to pick up the slack. It's insane. But that's the life two halves are living. The unemployed curmudgeon class in the pro-whites and pro-blacks, and in the normal, decent salary, decent apartment, big city, middle class. The pro-whites, the unemployed curmudgeon pro-whites, are the 1 in 6 young men who are unemployed, who have really screwed up priorities when it comes to what makes a decent human being. And you also have the normies who work for BuzzFeed, Vox, whatever. Two politically very different groups of people. So what's the commonality? Genetics. Whites are in trouble. Whites are in deep, deep trouble. Which is why we're not looking for the cure, we're looking for palliatives. And if you don't know what a palliative is, it's something you give to a dying patient who has an ailment for which there is no cure. And it will kill them eventually. So the idea of a palliative is to keep them comfortable as long as possible. And that's all we're looking for. And we're running out of options. And that's why you see so many people freaking out. That's why you see so many people having slow, painful meltdowns. Lots of followers of mine send me a lot of things documenting this meltdown. Here's one of them. Some guy, I'm just going to read it. It's a Facebook screenshot. He says, people ask me, Sean, how can getting blowjobs from trannies not make you gay or even just a little bit gay? I just tell them, look, I'm an American. If I go on a plane and fly over to Europe, that doesn't mean I'm not an American anymore. It doesn't make me European. It doesn't even make me a little bit European. It just means that I'm visiting. Same guy says, I'm extremely masculine and dominant. I could easily accrue multiple wives. I know this for a fact. I could have about 3 or 4 of them if I wanted to. I've become convinced that these so-called values like monogamous marriage were simply things cooked up by inferior men. These are men who have the mentality of, well, if I can't have all of these women, then no one can, so I'll just make up this imaginary rule where if you have more than one wife, you go to hell. I see right through that egalitarian nonsense. And of course, obviously, I won't allow myself to be limited by it. Why would I, after all? There's no reason why I can't just, well, do whatever the fuck I want. This fella is more unhinged than most. But how many people agree with this in practice? You live a life of wanton hedonism. This is what it is. Why shouldn't I do whatever the fuck I want? Well, they're asking this question because they can. They get away with it. Most people don't understand that there are long-term consequences that don't exist within the temporal realm for their wrongdoing. It's because most people don't have souls, unfortunately. They feel no remorse for what they do. And nobody makes them feel it. Nobody brings about any temporal consequences for them. You can leave a trail of broken hearts, damaged women, enabling their damage, enabling their dysfunction, enabling their confusion. We are very confused people. And we're content to dwell in it, unfortunately. Like this individual here. He's just one of many. But you think about it. One after the other after the other. 0.1% here, 1% here, 2% here. It all starts to add up to a lot of dysfunction. Transsexuals, sexual hedonism. That's his palliative. He's already dead inside. And living a life where you're dead already? You have experienced the first death. It's very painful. So this is his palliative. But these things that cause more pain. What he is soothing himself with, they just cause him more pain. He has to cover it up with something else. Eventually he's going to run out. They all do. And that's when they eat a bullet, slice their wrists, take a bunch of pills, whatever it is. That's what ends up happening. We are a deeply confused, troubled people. We're not interested in cures, only palliatives. This is not a prediction. This is not what I want, what I hope for. This is a fact. Everywhere you go, you see it. Deeply troubled, confused people living shameful, horrible lives. This is a fact. You know I'm right. People who have this point of view, we are right. You don't like to hear it. So how do you respond? That's defeatist. That's defeatist and nihilistic. That's how you feel about it. That's how you feel about the assessment. That's how you feel about the truth. You want the truth to be pleasant, full of empty promises. Well, let me tell you something. Hope is not a plan. Hope is not a plan. Hope is not a plan. Blind optimism is not a plan. It's not my responsibility how you feel about the truth. It's not my fault that when me and people like me destroy these false idols you've made for yourself, not my fault that there is a void there now. Because you've placed your faith in man, in the most fallible thing. I'm sorry after hearing the truth you feel nihilism and despair, but that's your fault. It's all on you and you can't pass it off to anybody. What I have documented over the past 2 years cannot be denied. You can separate how I feel about it, my commentary on whatever it is I talk about. You can set that aside. Agree with it, disagree with it, whatever. Doesn't matter. What I actually believe doesn't matter. Every article I've read, every social media post I've read, are all representative of our present zeitgeist. The truth doesn't care about how I feel about it, and the truth doesn't care about how you feel about it. And the truth hurts. It always does if you've surrounded yourself with lies, with comfortable, nice falsehoods. You've predicated your ego on pretty lies. You're feeling the pain of that, which you should. You don't want to admit your mistake, so you look for other people to put the blame upon. So this was brought to my attention. Somebody named Blair White, that's a real name. Hi, Brian. How's it going? I'm assuming that's your name, or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's like a gay millennial name, like Jaden or some bullshit like that. Isn't that what Will Smith named his kid? He named the boy after the wife, and then the daughter after him. What a fucking weirdo. Anyway, so Blair White, YouTuber, social political commentator, trans. So this dude LARPing as a chick says, SJWs hate me, Muslims hate me, fundies hate me, Black Lives Matter hates me. So your gimmick is regurgitating anti-SJW talking points. But you're trans. Wow. We should all fall over ourselves to praise you. Wow, if only they were all like you, you piece of shit. If only all trans were like you. That's what all of these sexless losers say, which I'm about to prove. So, yeah, I commented on this on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, you know all about this by now. But for the sake of documentation here, I'm going to read you the replies. And you people can't tell me that white people don't worship the deviant above all else. Because I'm about to read to you these Twitter replies to this retarded tweet written by white people. So let's start with which one? This one. We're gonna read this response to this deranged transsexual, this deeply confused person. It says, I don't hate you. I don't give two shits about you. The next one says, you know you want that tranny dick. What else? What's next? Oh, this one says, keep smiling, beautiful. That's what they hate the most. I don't hate you. In fact, I want to hug you and love you and crush you with my affection. You're so beautiful. Wow. I haven't encountered one negative word towards this person saying, you're a deviant. You're going to hell. Stop. Repent. Nobody's saying that other than the people I follow. Like Earl of Grey says, you need medical attention. You are a man. I say this out of compassion, not hatred. One of the guys over at Rome is Burning said that if we hated you, we'd tell you to keep doing what you're doing. So, I mean, in the age of moral inversion, human experimentation, age of this, age of that, age of all things terrible, age of all things deviant and backwards, the age of love, and by love we mean come. Anybody who's just like, oh, come, look, I like come. That's who we value. People who watch too much porn, who have not had enough contact with other people. This is what they become. They become transsexuals. They turn their masturbatory fantasies upon themselves. But hey, the nature of pornography would change it if it were just Goyim in charge of it. This is what people actually believe. There are people out there who say that pornography is evil because it's Jewish, and they masturbate to hentai instead because that's not Jewish. Again, this is just a fact. How I feel about it has nothing to do with it. What I believe that implies, what that says about us, doesn't matter. But not one negative word about this subhuman who profits off of the internet's transsexual fetish. And as we found out together on Common Filth Extra, episode 33, this has deep roots in the European psyche, as told through pagan mythology. A state of being we moved beyond for quite a while, but we're now regressing to that point. What else? What other responses do we have here? We cool people love you, Blair, says somebody named Emperor Trump. That's your average Donald Trump supporter. You look like a Final Fantasy in this picture. You're so gorgeous. The rest of us love you. You go, girl. Again, we refer to people who have a Y chromosome as girl. Just as when we say love, most of us say the word love. We think come. We think tingles. That's why when white people open up the Bible now and they see like Jesus saying love and things like that, they think like, oh wow, cool. That means prostitution is okay. That means all of these horrible abominations are fine. Because look, Jesus says love, and that's the word we use for jizz. That means it's okay. But that's aside the point. The point here is about this Blair White piece of shit. You have thousands of people going out of their way to praise this confused, damaged, whatever it is. Barely a word telling him to stop. Barely. The white youth of America white America going out of its way to praise really more than just America. American culture is a virus. It spreads quicker than you could possibly imagine. We feel the need for some reason to praise the deviant, to exalt it above all else. White men and women, white dudes and chicks. I'm not going to call them men and women, they haven't earned that. They're all praising this deviant, this horribly confused. It's a psycho, really. It is perceiving things that are not there. And just how do you get through to people? You can show all of the facts regarding transsexuals and other assorted sodomites. You can show white people the facts, but they'll never get it. And I don't think we ever will. The information's out there, not very hard to find. They dismiss it as, oh, that's hateful, or it's not up to date. Gee, wonder why. But it hasn't changed. A homo in the 90s is the same thing as a homo in the 2010s. I mean, a few more of them might be dead because of the life they've decided to lead. You can't get honest research about homos because, well, they control it. They control the flow of information. Which is why you have to rely on social media documentation to show how they really are. But they don't control the flow of information when it comes to their levels of support, which are at an all-time high. You know, the Ottoman Empire has paintings, very disturbing paintings of sick sexual shit, which would indicate that it's a culturally accepted practice. If you're making art of it, it's accepted. You can get away with it. If you're making paintings of it, well, that's, again, you are not long for this world. Happened to the Ottomans, happened to the Greeks, happened to the Romans. Happening to whatever the hell we are now. Problems on top of problems on top of problems on top of problems. And we deny that they are problems. Donald Trump's entire presidency has been like a neuralizer. Have you ever seen the Men in Black movies? They use a neuralizer to erase people's memory. Donald Trump has been like a neuralizer to white America. Seemingly intelligent people who knew the score. Who knew just how dysfunctional we've become. All of a sudden, oh, that doesn't matter. Because look, we're kind of winning here with this guy. With this guy who's running for president. Let's suddenly compromise on everything else. No, all that stuff doesn't matter. That's how we rationalize it. Again, people I thought were smart were just like, oh, whatever. Because, look, a president, somebody we like is going to be president. And this has happened all across white America. And it makes me sick. But what else can you expect when your entire culture, your entire sense of identity is filtered through the ephemera of politics? Look, we used to say, don't call it a grave, it's the future you chose. It's the future we chose. I like that phrase. It implies some level of personal accountability that seems to be gone from everybody. In more state of confusion news, again, it doesn't affect you, it's not a problem, social issues don't matter except for when we freaked out about the Confederate flag. Flags matter, conduct doesn't. That's what they say. From campusreform.org, tampons coming to men's rooms at Brown University by Sydney Hutchison. Brown University's student body president will be hand-delivering menstrual products to all non-residential bathrooms on campus, including men's rooms, with the help of 20 other students. Viet Nguyen, that is a real name, president of Undergraduate Council of Students, announced the initiative in a campus-wide email Tuesday, saying he wants to communicate the message that not all people who menstruate are women, according to Newsweek. A Southeast Asian who knows a thing or two about ladyboys? Perish the thought. There's been a lot of conversation about why pads and tampons are a necessity, not a luxury, but not a lot of action. We wanted to take it into our own hands, Nguyen explains in the email, observing that low-income students struggle with having the necessary funding for food, let alone tampons. You can buy that shit at the dollar store! But I can't afford the really nice tampons. I can't afford the really nice tampons. What else? By putting menstrual products in women's, men's, and gender-inclusive bathrooms, Nguyen aims to set a tone of trans inclusivity, and not forget that they're an important part of the population. To who? To ladyboy fetishists? Only in the West do you look at the worst parts of every culture and say, yeah, we want that. Yeah, we want to promote that. We look at Southeast Asia and we say, we want more dick girls like them. Let's get some. And we'll call them traps, and we'll say they have feminine penises. That'll be our 105 IQ rationalization on it to make it really ours. So, Nguyen says, is under no illusions that the effort will be universally popular. I'd be naive to say there won't be pushback, he preemptively concedes. I've had questions about why we're implementing this in male bathrooms as well. It's an initial confusion, but people generally understand when we explain it. I'm just going to say it right now. You'd be better off getting your daughter a job as a stripper than sending her to university. Right, what's this? Now trending, Berkeley protesters assault CRs, destroy Trump cutout. I'll be paying you a visit soon. Oh yes, I will. What's a CR? I don't know what a CR is. After being subjected to heckling and vandalism at a tabling event Wednesday, the University of California, Berkeley, college Republicans have now had a Donald Trump standee torn to pieces. Campus police filed a report after one CR member was physically assaulted by... campus reform. I get it. Okay. So they freaked out. All right, well, as you sow, so shall you reap. Look, I appreciate the message of this website, campusreform.org. I get it. But it's rotten from the roots. Universities cannot be redeemed. They need to be... I'll refrain from saying what they need to be, but they're rotten. There's no reforming. And as long as you keep giving them money, they're going to keep existing. So no. In this case, you do have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because the baby has grown horns and a tail and the water has turned to sulfur. I've said that before, but it feels good to say it again, because it's true. So Nguyen told Newsweek that menstrual products will be available in approximately 30 to 40 bathrooms across campus for the 2016 to 2017 school year, financed exclusively by the Undergraduate Finance Board rather than general university funds. Who cares? Really, who gives a shit where it comes from? It's still money spent on stupid whatever. Maybe it's not stupid. I mean, I do imagine the average Brown University student has some severe anal leakage that they need to take care of, so I don't know, maybe this will serve some sort of perverse purpose beyond just a symbolic show of solidarity for dick girls. So what else? Why aren't these products treated the same way as other products we hand out, like toilet paper? He pondered in an interview with The Guardian. It's a necessity rather than a luxury, so Brown and other universities should treat them as such. It's not a necessity if you're a dude. You don't need it if you're a dude. And really, what do these people think? Like, I had top surgery. People on GoFundMe paid for it. Dude, give me a tampon, bro. I'm bleeding out. I need a tampon, bro. Get me one. I'm too poor to go to the dollar store and get a tampon. And notice how all these FTMs, they have the most idiotic view of what masculinity is. And it's hardly exclusive to them, but they think it's like having like some kind of chin strap beard, like shitty tattoos, tribal tattoos, and tap out shirts. And they all have these really froggy voices like, is that all? I see these people all the time. They usually work at restaurants, some dumb dead-end job for teenagers. Will that be a small, medium, or large? And you can tell. It's like they don't have the muscular vocal cords. Yeah, those hormones made you a man. Gave you shitty facial hair and a voice that makes every word a croak. I'm done reading this. Look, we need to move on here. From the Age of Shitlords, ageofshitlords.com. Infiltrating Mommy Wars Facebook group. And this was posted not very long ago at all as of this recording. It's about 24 hours ago, maybe less. It says, there's a closed group on Facebook called Mommy Wars, a group that currently has over 23,000 members. That was my mouse. The group was created for the wives of military men to give each other advice, to interact with each other, and to offer support where it is needed. The group's description reads, "We 99.99999% just don't give a fuck. This isn't the place for your sanctimonious opinions. We have a group for that. Please join Sanctimommy Wars for your parenting debates." Okay, so that's the description of this group. Okay, it doesn't say much about really what's about to unfold here. It says, using the replies anywhere other than shit for sale post can and will get you removed from the group. Don't do it. Oh, okay, that's where the description ends. The description also contains a disclaimer. It says, any personal photos posted in Mommy Wars or any of our sister brother groups become the property of Mommy Wars and all of our groups to do with as we wish, up to and including selling them to the crackhead down the street. You acknowledge by being in here that whatever you post, you are gifting to us. Tanya and I love your generosity and will treasure every gift you give us. So will every admin in every group Tanya and I own. The military wives are fucking crazy. This is what I'm gathering from this right off the bat here. It says, thank you so much for your kindness. Okay, I already read that. Wait, no. Thank you so much for your kindness. We here at Mommy Wars strive hard to provide you with a family-friendly, safe environment full of concern and understanding. Please feel free to contact Tanya, myself, or one of our lovely admins if you ever feel like you're not safe or like you're in danger. Mommy Wars signed an anti-bully campaign, and we encourage others to do the same. Thank you. Oh, they're so moral. They're anti-bullying. That's very brave. Very brave indeed. Ironically, and that's where the description ends and the disclaimer ends. So, ironically, this same disclaimer gives us the right to use the pictures posted in that group without permission. Also, this is Facebook, and any content posted on it can be used under fair use policy. Also, I'm an asshole, so I was going to post it anyway. Well, alright. The story begins with a stay-at-home mom coming to the group for advice. Her husband is away on military duty and she wants to know whether it's a good idea to cheat or not, just for reference. Yeah, we are in some serious trouble. Right there, I already know. So just for reference, and these are the weird acronyms they use, SAHM means stay-at-home mom. Jody, Jody, means a man who sleeps with a woman while her husband is away on military duty. A HOAR, another way of saying whore. And now the fun begins. So this says, are there any stay-at-home moms here that are also military wives? I'm in need of some support. What do you do while your spouse is away? I'm having a very hard time with all of this. I met this wonderful guy online and he really wants to meet up. Is it wrong of me to do so while my man is deployed? And the responses to this say, not at all. You need to satisfy your sexual needs. Have fun. It's not cheating if you only do anal. That one got 32 likes. Yeah, sure, go ride that dick. Have fun, girl. And it also says, no, you are a single mother while he is deployed. He can't blame you. He is the one who left. Oh my goodness. And another one says, Christians get around the whole virginity thing too. Anal doesn't count. Have you ever heard of sodomy? You fucking whore. You fucking whore. And another reply, people aren't meant to be monogamous anyway. We are regressing in every conceivable way. This is not a belief. This is not an opinion. This is not a feeling. This is fact. These women view something like loyalty, commitment, devotion as a burden for their needs. And this is not exclusive to women either. Hell, some men invite this treachery. They get off on it. Like that one fat fuck Anglo piece of shit said. He'd think it was hot. He'd want to join in if he caught his girl screwing around on him. So what else? And it needs to be said, these are all white women. Look, I know it's uncomfortable. It hurts to hear. But they are. White women saying, rings don't plug holes. That one has a lot of likes as well. And then there's another one that says, I was in the military. It's a known fact that wives cheat. That's why the guys cheat. Don't worry about it. And then here's another white woman with a magical, beautiful white baby resting on her bosom in her profile picture. She says, he's right. Hubby is probably literally balls deep as we speak. These are the kind of people that are out there. Again, how you feel about it, how I feel about it, doesn't matter. This is a fact. This is what's happening out on the front lines of culture. These are the current conditions of the common people. And it will only lead to ruin. More dysfunction, more broken homes. And you tell me how politics is going to solve that. This one says, I did all the things I couldn't do when he was around. Slept in the middle of the bed, pooped with the door open, the house stayed clean, spent money freely, cheated. He left me to go take a 6-month vacation with his buddies. It's fair game for me to do whatever I want to. This one says, he's probably doing the same thing, so I'd say do what you want. This one says, definitely don't get pregnant. I've been holding on to that secret for way too long. Oh my goodness. It keeps getting worse. This one girl and I both found out our husbands were cheating at the same time. Our husbands had girlfriends, except her ex didn't get some barracks bunny pregnant. I don't care about Western civilization. This is what Western civilization is. It's not Aryan girls in wheat fields. It's Aryan girls in shitty hotel rooms getting pregnant by some stranger while their husband is deployed. And he's getting some foreign chick pregnant on his little military adventure. And I recommend that you remove Western civilization as your false idol of choice. I understand we all have these pagan impulses, but they only lead us to disappointment, sadness, depression. Get rid of it. Western civilization, this is what it is. Is this decent? Is this good? Is this something worth preserving? No, it's not. This is what our fixation on freedom. We need to be free. Freedom. Free. We need to be free. Free to do what? To create problems for ourselves? Problems born out of our sick desires? Our inherent treachery? That's not freedom. Scratch that, it is. I don't control the definition of words. This is freedom to people. So, what else? It says, most military wives play while their soldiers away. I don't see anything wrong with it as long as he doesn't know. Truth about the dark-skinned man, too. I love my German ladies, but they all went through soldiers like crazy. One of my great friends there just gave birth to her third baby. All three dads are Look, you think there'll be a little flicker of light in the darkness. This is why hope is not a plan. I think people know that, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have reasonable expectations with regard to what you'll get out of people, how people will conduct themselves. Everybody just wants their nice, comfortable lives. They want their palliatives. Whether it's in the president or it's in a Facebook group rationalizing their treachery. People just want nice things. They want life to be like a Disney movie, and they will lie to themselves to convince themselves that life really is like a Disney movie. And again, very few people of color in this Facebook group. I see like a couple. You know, we have this childlike neotenous view of what life should be. Whites in general. This is going back to the beginning. We want life to be like a Disney movie. A childlike carefree romp where everybody learns a nice lesson and they live happily ever after. It's not how life works. So when confronted with something that is abrasive, uncomfortable, horrible, we either ignore it or we rationalize it. Well, these women have needs. Oh, that's hot. I think it's hot when a girl cheats on me. And if you don't, you gotta go to jail, mate. Oi, bruv, is that some slut shaming? You gotta go to jail, mate. Now, I'm going to talk about dairy consumption, and I know this is a little bit strange, jumping from whores who are married to soldiers who cheat on them. I get it, it's weird, but hear me out. Whites are the only people who are not inherently lactose intolerant. It's a very neotenous trait to live your life with the ability to consume dairy products beyond infancy. It's also a very neotenous trait to only want to hear positive, only hear good news only. Life is like a Disney movie. Life should be like a Disney movie. Just something that came to mind, and I think it's pretty true. Strange, but true. Just like this infiltrating Mommy Wars Facebook group article on theageofshitlords.com, where mostly white women are talking about the virtues of infidelity. Like this bitch saying, spread those legs, girl, doesn't count if your partner isn't on the same land mass that has a bunch of legs as well. And it's another one says, oh, is this in Germany? Yeah, definite German hooker and female soldier threesome. Is it that easy to get a German hooker? Is it that easy to get a hooker in Germany? Thanks, you fucking Krauts. Makes me feel real sad that Muslims are having their way with you. And so somebody in the group says he made a list of all the names in the group and took screenshots of their comments. These women deserve everything that's coming to them. Well, unfortunately, the update, this article has been posted in the Mommy Wars Facebook group, and they're all brigading the comment section right now. Read the Facebook comments below posted in the last hour to know what I'm talking about. Second update, the group has been removed by Facebook for harassment, cleansing any record of the sins these women committed. But thanks to Age of Shitlords, some of it's documented. So there you have it. The facts are here, but you can interpret it in one of a couple of ways. And unfortunately, a lot of young men looking at this will say like, oh, I'm so glad that I have a loyal trap with a feminine penis, GF. That's not the way to interpret this. I understand a good woman is hard to find. But when you do, you need to keep her. You need to preserve it. Because the world won't. Tons of young men now see something like this that call them thoughts, and then they're like, wow, being gay is so much better. Let me tell you something. I'm a part of a number of Facebook groups. I don't participate in any of them because, well, that would compromise my mission. But I see a lot of what they post, and all of it, when it comes to girls or sexuality or whatever, all of these young dudes, they worship homos. I'm not kidding you. Again, looking for innocence where there is none. Because they know what they are. They don't find anything clean about themselves. They do not maintain a good soul. So they look to the outgroups. These deviant, terrible outgroups. They look at them on the most superficial level because that's what homos put out about themselves. Look, we're just quirky and fun, and people are stupid enough to believe that. These dudes have bad taste in women. They get burned by some girl, they get their heart broken, and how do they react? They think being a sodomite is better. They have bad taste in women, therefore. I know, it's insane, but this is what your young people think. You see it in women, too. They go to college, they lose their virginity in a very frivolous way. They don't, the guy doesn't stay with them because, like, well, that was easy. I'm moving on to the next. And how do the women react? They're burned. Their hearts are broken. How do they react? They become feminists and lesbians. It's the same thing, really. They're making adult decisions and they can't deal with the adult consequences. They're doing things they're not prepared to deal with. They react to the problems that they themselves have created by making more problems for themselves. And that's just it. And you try to give them guidance, they don't accept it. They react with extreme hatred, anger, rage. They're petulant children. They won't let anybody help them. And soon there will be nobody left to even try to help them. Pride is a very dangerous thing. From Breitbart.com, Ohio couple unconscious in vehicle with 4-year-old in backseat after heroin overdose. It's a man and a woman. They're clearly dead. Not physically, but you know. And this is one of the most upsetting photos I've seen in a long time. And not too long ago, we read a story about the heroin epidemic in West Virginia. West Virginia shares a border with Ohio. You have a 4-year-old child. You have a very vulnerable creature that you created. That is literally you. Your blood is his blood, and you can't muster up the decency to take care of it. Only the most morally impoverished people are derelict in their parental duties. Here you have the most vulnerable creature under your care that you created. And you're like, nah, I'd rather do heroin instead. There is no excuse for high IQ Aryan Ubermensch to engage in behavior such as this. And oh yeah, the couple. White. You can see it. There's no excuse for them to be behaving like this. I was watching a nature documentary. I think it was on the BBC the other day, not too long ago. And they're showing beluga whales migrating. And they had their babies. The moms had their babies right alongside them, taking care of them. These are lower creatures than those whales. Think about that. Those whales I saw in that nature documentary have more will to live than these idiots. I was listening to a podcast done by Harold Covington, the founder, leader of the Northwest Front. The podcast was called Ghost Dance. And he talked about the ghost dance being something that the American Indians did to revive their ancestors, revive their ancestor soldiers, whatever. And he explains that whites are doing the same thing. It's like a last gasp spasm. It's like all of the shit we've pulled is catching up with us. And this is how we react. By engaging in our version of the ghost dance, which is by posting stuff on Twitter. and he explains, like, we needed to take moral inventory of our people. And, you know, he says stuff about social conditioning and all this. I get it. Which passes off the blame too much for my liking, but you know, his heart's in the right place. He says that, he explained, like, when he was growing up, he didn't know any children belonging to single parents. He didn't know anybody that was divorced. Up until much later on in his childhood, adolescence, I think it was. But regardless, it was very uncommon. And now, 50% divorce rate among whites. Among however many other problems there are that we don't think are problems anymore because Trump. Right-wingers are completely dealing with success. They get one taste of it and they're like, oh God, we gotta hold on to it. Oh my God. They don't keep fighting. See what you want about the left. They keep hacking away. They keep hacking away at the moral fabric. They keep pulling the loose strings. They're like, oh, we did it? Well, let's keep going. You know, as sick as they are, there's something to be said about their dedication and persistence. But yeah, a fantastic presentation by Harold Covington. And one people need to listen to. And he talked about it. He said, we don't like to hear criticism. We don't like to hear valid criticism of ourselves. I get it. We've heard, I understand, young white people have heard nothing but nothing about themselves other than how bad Jim Crow and slavery and segregation were and how they're responsible for it, and they still benefit from those terrible racist things to this day. I understand it. You're browbeaten. For no good reason, but there are perfectly valid reasons to criticize the present state of whites. Add drug overdoses, heroin overdoses, and wanton infidelity. to that list. From the official Common Filth subreddit, r/commonfilth on reddit.com. The question and comment thread for this week. I have a question and comment thread up for pretty much every week, so if you want to hear your thoughts, your questions, your opinions heard on this show, you may submit something, and most likely I will read it. First one, when will you join the Common Filth Discord channel? Yeah, if you have any, like, sort of unofficial fan thing that you want to organize, feel free to advertise it on the subreddit. This isn't something that got a lot of signal last week, but yeah, if you've made anything, looking to organize people who enjoy the work that's done here, you may, and there is a link to the, this is the top comment of the week, so I am sorting this by best. Yeah, there is a link to the Discord channel, and somebody says here that we need a Common Filth soundboard. If you want to put that together, by all means, go ahead. But I hadn't heard of Discord up until this point when somebody made a Discord channel in tribute to this channel, this project, this thing that I do. And I think that is really cool. So I don't know, maybe someday I'll come and surprise you all with my presence, but time is hard to come by these days, and it does take a long time to decompress from what I do here. Hey CF, I've got 2 questions. If you can get to both, that would be great. I'll try to keep them as short as I can. I started listening to your Best of 2014 compilation from Bandcamp and noticed quite a difference in the emphasis of your show. There seemed to be a less of a negative attitude towards the white race and less emphasis on the inherent moral illness of our society. I think maybe you said that unlimited immigration from non-European countries was our greatest threat, which is quite different from what I've been hearing on your newer shows. That the internal threat of the sodomite/degenerate is much more serious. For the record, I'm not being critical. I think your content has only improved. My question is if you can talk briefly about how you feel your views have changed, grown, and improved during your journey of doing the show and what you think has changed the most. Thanks. Yeah, this is a good question. Here's the thing. What got me started on this whole path was how angry white liberals made me. How angry left-wing rhetoric made me. And the fact that they're pro-unlimited immigration from the third world, that's just one part of what pissed me off about them. What got me here. What brought me to this point. So yeah, immigration is a problem, but they're affected by it too, negatively. They vote in this shit, and they're hoisted by their own petard. So I think to myself, wait, what's bad about that? These people who have played their part quite well in bringing about this globalized neoliberal hell world we find ourselves in, why shouldn't I be happy that they are affected by mass immigration? Why should I be sad when brown belligerents find themselves in the neighborhoods of these retards? They're taking out the trash that we won't. Now, they might represent a different kind of trash, but you know what? It's a simpler kind. It's easier to get rid of. Going back to my point earlier about Trump acting as a neuralizer on the psyche of white Americans. People who fixate on immigration and Muslims and Islamic immigration exclusively ignore the rest of it. They get Trump and suddenly it's nothing else matters. This is why right-wingers are completely ill-equipped to deal with any success, because they ignore everything else. They're just like, ooh, success. We need to hold on to this one rather than, okay, we won this. Let's move on to the next problem. There are more problems than just the external, as we so accurately document here on this program. And they forget that there are even problems at all. That cultural and moral issues do affect us, do make us weak. So everybody who focuses exclusively on non-white immigration and stopping it and stopping unlimited immigration, they've forgotten the rest of it. In fact, they now say that, well, as long as it's just a 100% white population, we can make any system work. As if usury stops being usury because it's a goyim collecting the checks. As if pornography stops being pornography, and any ill effect that has ceases having any ill effects because white people are in charge of it. So they've gone full retarded circle, back into white people leftism, that I despised so much that it has led me to this point. 2. One of the greatest benefits and impacts of your show for me has been in assisting me in my struggles with lust, the unforgiving constant reinforcement of how truly evil pornography is, and relating it in my mind with all the other heinous things exposed on the show has been a powerful help. However, despite the radio show being usually quite edifying, I've wondered about the profitability of being exposed to some of the content you produce, especially after watching Tumblr Raw Volume 3 and 4. Holy crap, wow, that was hard to watch. I know to a certain extent this is just what you do, and as I said, it has in a way been helpful for me as an encouragement to hate evil, but I'm wondering what you think of these verses from St. Paul in light of your show. From Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there's any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. Ephesians 4, 29 through 31, let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Ephesians 5, 3 through 4. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not even be named among you, as is fitting for saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. It's amazing to see and hear so many comments from people that they have found Christ or started going back to church because of your show. You're obviously doing something right, but in light of these verses from Paul, I wonder if the best course of action, after we have seen the light, is to focus on it entirely and completely forget and leave the darkness behind. Sorry this comment turned out so long. I hope this didn't come off as too critical, as I truly appreciate the work you are doing. Thank you. I addressed this in a way earlier on in this episode. We want everything to be like a Disney movie. We take these lessons that are given by Paul and we pervert them. We don't meditate on things that are good. We meditate on things that are sick, perverse, soul destroying, and we rationalize them as, well, they're a good thing. So it's all backwards. We need to tell the world that the things you think are good, no, they're not. But I understand what he's saying here. Like, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't tell her about all this crap. You know, if the world taught it to her, if the world introduced it to her, well, I guess I'd have to talk to her about it then. But I wouldn't. I'm not going to introduce this to my potential children. I barely even talk about this stuff with my friends. If we correctly identified what was good and treated it as such, and we correctly identified what was bad and treated it as such, I wouldn't have to do this. I wouldn't have to diagnose. I wouldn't have to explain. I wouldn't have to drive home the point of just how dysfunctional what we value really is. Throughout the rest of the Bible, God tells us what's good and what's bad. Read Deuteronomy 28. Reads off like a checklist of what has happened to us as a result of our disobedience. God is telling us, look, these things are bad. And here are the bad things that will happen to you as a result of your disobedience. Okay, knowing right from wrong is essential. And we as a culture are so far lost from the plot. We're so far off the right path that we think what is bad is good and what's good is bad. And somebody needs to get that straight, to put it in its correct order, to rearrange what is really good and what is really bad. We neglected to do that for a very long time. And I don't know if it's too late or not to set it right again. Especially since, every time that right-thinking people have a taste of success, they just completely shut down and forget about all the other problems that need to be addressed, all the other maintenance that needs to take place. So, that's why I do what I do. Alright, what else does this say? Stay woke, stay anointed. Okay. Hashtag woke. Mother Earth is a black man. True. Seahorse. Have you seen that picture, by the way? A picture of the black guy with the big old pregnant belly and the black lady kissing his belly. This is fun. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. Mother Earth is a black man, everybody. Mother Earth is actually a man, and he's like a seahorse. It was like really well drawn too. You could tell it took some effort. I mean, it wasn't like high art or anything, but you could tell the person had some skills with a pen. They were pretty skilled at drawing, and they use their skills to draw pregnant black men. Has that string of words ever been repeated? in that order, anyway. Is that a new thing? Did I just say pregnant black man for the first time, like in human history? Yeah, well, maybe it's the first documented instance of those three words being said. I wonder if MC Wright is if he's like a seahorse too. Alright, next. Howdy CF, you rustled me a little when you said you don't stand for the anthem. I come from a long line of military folk and have been directly associated with the military myself for over a decade. I know, the Zionist occupation government and other similar arguments. Well, those aren't the arguments I was using. Or the reasons, rather. Colin Kaepernick's actions are stupid to me since Black Lives Matter is based on falsehoods, but he does have some visibility, albeit it still will not change anything except some lost revenue. I understand your point, I suppose, but you are in the same boat as Colin. It won't do anything. It only makes you stick out and be perceived as an asshole, assuming people care about this thing in your area. Well, nobody's brought it up to me, and it's not too often that I go to events that do require me to stand for the national anthem. Though over the last few weeks I have gone to high school football games because it's not something I ever did before, and I've actually enjoyed it. And I'm actually recording this on a day where I actually got back from I'm recording this just a couple of hours after I got back from a high school football game. So, and the high school's band, they played the national anthem. It was nice, and I did read your comment. This was posted as I'm recording this 4 days ago. I did see this comment before I started recording this, and I had your comment in mind when they started playing the national anthem there, and I stood up. I stood up because of your comment that I'm going to keep reading here. It only makes you stick out and be perceived as an asshole, assuming people care about this thing in your area. It seems to me this only gives you some satisfaction inside yourself with you refusing to stand as an act of protest. I see all the military pause firsthand. Believe you me, the uptick in mandatory pause trainings is ridiculous, along with every group has a month replete with pause potlucks. But I still feel you should have some respect, as it is asking so little of you to simply stand momentarily. Well, if you are decent and what you come from, if your stock is decent, I hope I stood for the right reasons. And I'm telling you the truth right now. Last week I didn't. This week I did. But I still won't hide how I feel about the present manifestation of the United States military. Right now it's mostly homos in air-conditioned rooms bombing poor illiterate villagers right into the ISIS recruitment line. And they don't have enough balls to do it in person. They do it from a drone. The safety of a drone. From the safety of a room with a TV and a joystick. Is this another thing we forgot from the Trump neuralizer? That a military run amok with deviants, sexual perverts, gender-confused morons is doomed to fail? They're not protecting us. Here, you want me to read this, what is it? Let me read this. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to read this for you. It needs to be read. And I did a little bit of investigating to make sure this wasn't a, like some troll post or some fake, some sort of fabrication. I could tell by the pixels that it's Photoshop, that kind of thing. No, I looked it up. It's real. It's on the Air Force subreddit. It says, authorized to use butt plug during duty hours. Can I use this during duty hours, or what are the rules if it's during lunch but still on the building premises? And I'll just read this part. The top reply says, it says, I've always wondered myself, there doesn't seem to be any written guidance either for or against it, but if you decided that using a butt plug during duty hours is an absolute necessity, I would first try the following. You should contact your PCM and ask them to prescribe it for you. A doctor's note, if you will. You'd probably have to have a good reason, not just, I like things up my ass. Oh, great. So, a medical reason. A better reason would be, I can't focus on my job without things up my ass. I have low self-esteem without things up my ass. That's where their mind goes, like, this makes me feel like I'm a person that's worth something. And then second, if you work maintenance, you should take it by your CTK and have it added and etched so that in case it goes missing on the flight line, everyone will know who it belongs to. I know that if I was that pro super and I found a butt plug that wasn't etched, I'd lose my wait, what? So there'd be enough of them that you'd have to put your name on it. This one's mine, it has my initials on it. These are the people who protect our freedoms. And then there was I looked up the original thread. It's real. I'm looking at it right now. And it was removed, but not before, like, the original post. But all the replies are still there, including the one I just read. Just the original post is gone. It says removed. And, yeah, somebody gave this piece of advice. Very detailed advice. Make sure that it conforms to regulations on color and shape. And this is a subreddit full of people who are like, yay, Air Force. Look at me. We're in Air Force. So it's the requirements are as follows. We're learning all about legal butt plugs, what's allowed in military service. Like, can you... Again, these are things that could not be possible. Words that could not be possible to put together in any other time. In any other period. In any other generation. It says... The plug must be silicone or latex, wood, metal, glass, and stone plugs are prohibited. I've already read enough. So I'm going to go back to this, because their account is still active, the original poster here. And they're like, I was born this way. Like, they literally said that. And not literally in the faggy millennial sense. No, he said it. It's in his post history on Reddit. This person who's like, I need to have a butt plug while on duty to serve my country. If you're listening at full volume like I'm listening to my voice right now, I know you heard that dog barking, and it's probably still barking right now. So there you have it. That's what I think of the military. That's what the military wants. And America will die because of it. And good riddance. I see I have just a detail regarding the article we read last week concerning the 13-year-old Viagra addict. Blackpool is a seaside town where he lives and is another hive of homosexuality. Lancashire's one hell of a degenerate area ruled over by the liberal commies. P.S. Hearing your London Cockney banter accent kills me, but it's the only bunch of mate. I know I comment a lot about hearing background noises. I'm hearing this stuff through my headphones, I swear. I'm not hearing things. I stop, I play it back, and I hear it. And I hear it over and over again. Alright, so I'm not going crazy. You just have to be listening to it at a proper volume. Like somebody was like, that feel when I'll never hear the trains because sometimes the train goes by and sounds its horn. I like that. I like the sound of that a train makes. Like at just the right distance, because if you're close, it's loud and it's unpleasant. And, but yeah, from a distance, I like the way a train sounds. But, to reiterate this comment here, it says, Blackpool is a seaside town where he lives and is another hive of homosexuality. Where in the British Isles can you escape this madness? It seems like the whole place. Like the whole collection of islands. Remember the episode we did of Tumblristas about cottaging? A British term for sodomites doing sodomite things in public restrooms. What the hell? Like, who thinks of that? And it's so prevalent that they invent a term for it. And it's mostly Brits doing it. In fact, it was all except for one, and they were Canadian. You can go back to that episode of Tumblristas if you like. It was called English Cottages. I forget which number it is, but that's what it was called. Yeah, not surprising. It's just like, I don't understand. It's like, of all things a dying people could do, why fixate on your cummies, your tingles? I don't get it. Is just that's the last thing that feels real to anybody? God helps CF. It is now a month before the 6-year anniversary of since the first successful Pride parade in Belgrade, so they might try it again like they always do. So since there's Serbs following this, as well as many other from the region, hear my words, brothers. Croats, Bosnians, Serbs, Bulgarians, Romanians, Hungarians. I hereby call you all forth to Belgrade on the 10th of October. We shall stand in the front lines of righteousness and divinity. Wait a minute, I can't read this. I can't read that part. But you will say, no longer will the sodomite be allowed to occupy our lands. Rise up and fight back. You can be Muslim, Catholic, pagan. We accept all in our ranks. Together we shall strive towards orthodoxy or death. On a side note, someone already asked you to come to Discord. I upvoted the comment. It would be interesting to talk to you live, or at least listen to a Common Filth show live. On another side note, I asked a few of your fans on Discord, and we agreed to help you out. We thought of collecting Common Filth for a Tumblristas or AFK video, and sending it to you to upload, so you can rest for a week. Have a good day, CF. Well, Tumblristas is in my jurisdiction. I don't want to give that to anybody else, so I'll be selfish on that front. But yeah, send me stuff. Send me material for AFK on. I'm always on Twitter. I look at all my notifications. So if you have an interesting video or a disturbing video that you'd like me to include in it, I take fan submissions all the time. I don't explicitly say oh, this is from this, unless it's on Common Filth Radio. It's a little more difficult and clumsy to do in edited shows like Tumblristas and AFK. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter or send me links through email or through Reddit. I'll look at it. Next. Hey CF, I was the Swede who wrote how the fatherland is sacred. You said people will ignore you, which might be true. But the thing is that now the collapse of the current state is inevitable. The numbers themselves say it. Sweden will, in a few years, be like Syria. During this time, people have a choice: God and life, or sins and death. It is irrelevant if people will ignore how only Christ can save the fatherland. You must still preach the absolute truth of God if you are able to regardless. But in order to do that, you must study, learn, and be with people, and not act autistic. That's how Saint Ansgar did. A disciplined, humbled mind able to understand more of the truth. And that's how Swedes will have to do now as well. We are essentially in pagan territory now. We can sit in our rooms and feel bad about the world all day. I'm not saying you are, because I don't know if that's what you do, but many people are. But if we do not act in the way we can, we will have to answer for our inactivity one day. Well, it's not just in Sweden. Yeah, absolutely, we are. We. Like more than just Swedes. It's more than just you, more than just me, more than just America, more than just Sweden. The West in general. The geographic region we define as the West. Matthew 25, 24 through 30. He also who had received the 1 talent came forward saying, Master, I knew you were to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered to him, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has the 10 talents. For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. See, this is interesting because Pastor James David Manning of the Outlaw Church in Harlem, New York, did a video about this. He mentioned this passage, Matthew 21 and 25. He says that Christ did judge people, and he judged very harshly. Here you have it. So this has a lot of meaning, like all of it does. Not just in the fact that sloth and inactivity leads to this, but also we see what Jesus does. He judges people. He sends them straight to hell. He did it during his time out here on earth. So, yeah, great timing here. Justifying inactivity with how people will ignore you or spit in your face is just a trick from Satan. Those people who have a relatively good understanding of what exactly the problem is and why we need to return to Christ must use their talent of silver rather than to dig it down. Anyway, you spoke of how the Swedish church is just a way for the clergy to get money. You're wrong. It's much worse than that. All right, well, let's find out. But first, I do want to address your comment here. I said that people ignore me because, well, I mean, they ignore most of the truth. They just want life to be like a Disney movie, unfortunately. They want life to be like The Little Mermaid or, I don't know, not The Lion, well, maybe The Lion King, since that had two, never mind, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, that's what they want. They will ignore the truth. They will get very angry at those who speak the truth. I'm still going to do it, but I'm just telling you how people react. That's all. I'll keep doing what I do for as long as I can. So, I'm wrong. It's much worse than that with the Swedish church, with regard to the Swedish church and how it's just a way for the clergy to get money. So you continue by saying, in Sweden, a few percentage points of your income is taxed by the church. So much for separation of church and state, right? Yeah, I think that's just an American thing, to be honest with you, that's spread out over the rest of the world that knows a little bit of English. Which, by the way, the idea of separation of church and state is not actually in the Constitution. You read it. It does not say those words. What the Constitution actually says is that there will be no state church. That's what the Constitution says about the matter. There will be no state-run churches because of, well, we see why. They're pretty smart in that respect. So yeah, in the United States Constitution, it just talks about what it really means is no state churches. And I wish more people would understand that. So, which means the church is rather rich because they tax income. The tithes are a rather small part of their income. They also have church politicians from the regular parties deciding what to do, just as if it was a human construct rather than a divine one. I've also heard tons of anecdotes about what kind of people become priests here. We have trannies becoming priests who spread God's love, quote unquote, God's love, and how we're all equal, quote, equal, unquote, and how all sin is equal, so we're all terrorists. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Or something. Also, heard stories of how lesbian priests seduce women who turn to the church for help, not to mention pedos. So, lesbianism, comparing sinners to terrorists, comparing lesser sinners to terrorists, and harboring pedophiles. Great. There was a pedophile that even got a new job in the church by the bishop since the priest had served his sentence. When a reporter asked him if the priest had raped kids, he answered, "I don't know." Imagine that. Bishops also get a huge salary of roughly $8,000 United States dollars per month, perhaps more. They're also able to travel for church money, which they abuse to the fullest. So it's another Sodom. It's another Egypt. Great. And they have the backing of the state. Not surprising, but it's sickening all the same. So, lesbian priests seduce women who turn to the church for help. Well, look, I'll say something like this. Those that are seducing, you have to go along with it. It's like you already have to be of a mind to do that in order to go along with that bullshit. People with healthy instincts will detect that and be disgusted by it and run very far in the other direction. So, yeah, what does that say about the women? All of the women involved in that transgression. So it says, you continue by saying, many priests also have stated they do not believe in God. Past Archbishop was a doubter and was the avant-garde for making the church homo. They don't only want money, they want to destroy people. Yeah. Agreed. And I'm glad you have this knowledge, because I didn't know this. That's why I have these question and comment threads, because I learn a lot from them. And I give you people a sounding board. Lots of people listen to this show. Lots of people take it to heart. And they should. People need to know the facts. Just the facts. And these are the facts. Very disturbing ones. Finally, it says, you say, we don't really have a church anymore. We're like how Augustine described pagan Rome. Essentially, sodomites whining on God for being punished. Hey, dude, don't judge, or else we'll deal worse with you than with them. As they say. It's all very disturbing. It just seems to be getting worse. Hey, CF, I just finished listening to episode 104, and I was elated that you got to my comment at the 157 mark. Here's a link to my original comment. When I wrote that comment, I was still reeling from being fired by an electrical contractor who didn't have two F's to rub together about quality and had expanded well beyond their means, which meant every job site was a skeleton crew. Since then, I have started working for a contractor as a foreman, which means I'm no longer taking orders, but directing a crew to do a job as I see fit. Sounds good to me. The contractor I'm working for now sees the value in me, and I have a company phone, profit sharing, and will have a company truck by this time 2017. Sounds like a pretty good gig. I wanted to tell you that I posted my original question with some hesitation that you would rip me a new one for wanting worldly happiness and fulfillment, but when I heard you started reading my post, I felt vindicated. I intend to keep my career going as is, but after speaking with the 10 to 15 riders with and hearing a resounding "do it, that's a great idea," I intend to help grow and build the community of enduro riders that I love so much. I'm going to do more research and find out how big the AZ market is. Oh, is that Arizona? Okay. Is for what I want to promote, or is that some sort of unique acronym to your interest there? But I've been trying to live a more Christ-like life as well by stopping to help stranded motorists either on my way or coming back from trails, because the landscape we live in is very unforgivable to those who come unprepared. Well, hey, that sounds really cool. And that's a really good thing you're doing. I can't provide any more comment on that because this is all very new to me. I don't know too much about enduro riding, so I don't think I've heard of it up until this point when you talked to me about it last week. My final thought is that you've given me the courage and vocal clarity to become more Christian and live a more respectable, less cummies-related life. And while I deal with my wife's insanely liberal/leftist views, I want to be the best role model I can for my son, despite the ever-encroaching dark clouds. Thanks again. Keep doing what you do. Well, this contrasts nicely with the heroin overdose story from Breitbart that we read earlier on here. Well, we didn't really read it. You just need to read the headline. I'll still link to it below, but yeah, despite all of the evil that the world promotes and we're hell-bent on growing, you still find worth in doing right by your son. And God bless you for it. We need more fathers like you. We do. Because I don't know how many are left. And I hope your new job keeps going as well as it has been so far for you. Sounds pretty cool. Hola, mulatto missionary. What? I find myself in a very difficult position. I attend public high school and all my teachers are liberal degenerates of the highest degree. It is commonplace in class to discuss social and political issues in the world. This is commie code for let's talk about how great it is to sodomize each other. I'm sure, yeah. They also talk about how it's okay to be a tranny and gay if you're a Christian. You're doing it wrong. Do they not read the first commandment? Thou shalt have no other gods before me? They don't. They don't. That's why they keep doing this shit. They're not Christians. And it's not some no true, it's just not that. It's not a no true Scotsman thing. They're just not. Not even close. I've come close to vomiting in class because of this accepted discussion, and I need to speak up or I feel I am compliant to their degeneracy. What do? Well, you're in high school. Again, I receive this question every so often. Like a similar question to this. I'm young, I'm in high school, I'm sick of this leftist bullshit they're teaching me. What do I do? And I feel bad, but you're young. You're not, if you go against the orthodoxy, you're not going to be taken seriously. I mean, I know it's hypocritical of them to take seriously if some kid rattles on about how great it is to sodomize people. You know, the powers that be are going to look at those kids and say, pat them on the head and say, wow, wisdom of children. Here's an example of that. And when you speak up, they'll be like, what do you know? You're just a stupid kid. So you're stuck in an unfortunate position. And I know how you feel. I know that feeling where you know what's right, you know what's wrong, and your age is a handicap with regard to getting that across. This is something I don't think that ever got through to me when I was your age. That this isn't forever. You're young, so a day seems like more, or like a chunk of time seems more significant. It seems never ending, but it's all temporary. You won't have to deal with these people forever. You take comfort in that, and I hope you do. I wish more people would have told me that, or I wish I would have listened if it was told to me that this isn't forever. These uncomfortable, stupid things you have to put up with, they're not permanent. You will survive. And there are places on the internet now where you can take refuge from it. You can cleanse yourself of their propaganda, like on the fine contributors to the Common Filth subreddit. There are so many good threads on the Common Filth subreddit. Read those, feel better. You know, that's something you can do. Or go anywhere, learn, just remind yourself what's true. Remind yourself that they're liars. They're getting paid to lie. That sucks. But the truth is out there. And I know that you want to do something more than just accept the truth. Accept it for what it is. Take comfort knowing that they're wrong, you're right. I know that might not seem good enough, but it'll go a long way if you can find contentment within that. Next, I'm not quite sure where I heard this, but what would you say to someone who says, morals don't mean much when you are dead, so why have them? They're already dead. They're already dead. If they have no sense of right and wrong, they're already dead. So, that's what I say to that. Of course, the dead don't see the value in life. Again, this is like the previous question that I just read here. You can't convince those who are so inundated in lies. Just can't do it. You have to find some sort of contentment within the truth. You can't convince those without a moral compass that there is one to be had. Love is never wrong. Polyamory with more than one person. Oh, the chick in the AFK video. Yeah, that was something else. Love is never wrong. Love is never wrong. And she's like flipping off the camera. Some people, man, I don't get it. I'll make it short since last episode was long enough. What are your thoughts on suicide? It's bad. Bad thing to do. It's not your decision to make. It's not your decision to make. Obviously, someone going, boo-hoo, life is meaningless, we're all empty atoms that disappear into the void, but most importantly, I have no girlfriend, is self-centered and far from God's word to be forgiven. But what are your thoughts on a true follower of Christ committing suicide for any reason, be it due to some health deficiency or because they think there is nothing they can do for the Lord in the mortal realm and would be a better servant of the Lord in his eternal kingdom? Wait a minute. Again, that's not up for you to decide. You can't take that matter into your own hands. By committing suicide, you're saying that, God, you made a mistake in putting me here. And I understand we all have those feelings at times like, why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? We all have those thoughts. I understand it, but you can't act on them. Because once you wait it out, you realize, oh yeah, I am here for a reason. So no, it's not their decision to make. And if they do make that decision, well, were they ever really following God's law to begin with? Probably not. So, sorry if it's too obvious, but just wanted to get your angle on it, you know. Well, there you have it. Edit, World Peace Episode 5 gave me the spooks, not just in how the episode up the surreal ending / interlude sequence, but because everything you mentioned, whether it be teachers, sweaty Mark Zuckerpaws, or bodybuilders, turns up in the show. There's no way you aren't involved somehow. No, I swear to God, I'm not. I'm not. But for real, I found the ending quite profound, not sure why exactly. The way $1 Million Extreme can merge the comedic segments along with the dark tones within is truly something I can consider art. Anyway, thank you for the work you do, Mr. Filthenbergstein. Praise the eternal Jayans. Is that his name? How do you say his name? Heteronormativity is not the norm anymore. Viva la pazza! Viva la pazza! Heteronormativity is not the norm anymore. And, you know, we watch that video, we laugh at it. But think about the people who agreed to be in that. Like, those white dudes who decided, like, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to inject this poison into the cultural bloodstream. I'm not going to link to the original video to that. It was some final project, like some senior capstone project at a major university. So wrap your head around that one. Hello again, CF, for your amusement, a story, and a general point derived from it. I've been trying to convince people I know to reject degeneracy, and it has been a maddening experience as other people have shared that sentiment in just the last few minutes here. I've been trying to point out the objective biological facts regarding how sexual degeneracy spreads disease and leads to collapsing birth rates, and thus dooms any society that promotes it. Here they mentioned immigration as a solution since they're basic bitch liberals, but I pointed out that immigration requires non-paused societies to exist in order to parasitize citizens from. Well, immigration, they're right in a way, but again, it would require the immigrants to behave in a decent, productive way. That's what they don't get. Okay, immigration, fine. But you still have to get to the heart of the matter. What creates these people to immigrate? To and from. Again, they're leaving out that uncomfortable truth. It makes them feel uncomfortable, so they're like, oh, immigration, that makes them feel better again. Again, it still begs the question. You can't survive with people behaving this way, directing their impulse to give life towards that which cannot give it. So this is where things turned crazy. My friends are programmers and all apparently transhumanist. They are under the notion that artificial wombs, life extension technologies, and other such gizmos can solve this paradox of liberalism. We need to transcend beyond humans' biological restraints. It never occurs to them that having biological restraints is a part of being human. Never occurs to them. I have tried to point out that our lives have already been extended by modern medicine and that adoption and or surrogate pregnancies are functionally identical to artificial wombs, all of which has had negligible impact. I really shouldn't be surprised at this. White transhumanist fantasy is roundly mocked. Modern man as a whole has succumbed in general to what is called protocol governance. It is the mistake of reversing cause and effect. The idea that human beings can substitute scientific or political technology in place of human judgment and values, when it is human values that leads to the creation and or application of these technologies in the first place. The right wing is making the same mistakes as the transhumanists and the Constitution conservatives. A population of 90% whites will no more magically fix America by itself than artificial wombs or anything else that isn't real reform from human judgment. As though whites by themselves never have any bad ideas. Yeah, no kidding. As though the majority of whites now don't have bad opinions. A society of love is love whites will be just as degenerate as a society of love is love race mixers. Perhaps even more, as they'd have all that high IQ to apply to faggotry. A society so decadent that it views raising children as a waste of time and money that could be better spent in drug-fueled pause orgies will not magically change its mind if someone invents a machine to birth them. We have had technology that can alter the human body radically, but it has not helped us. Oscar Pistorius has prosthetic legs more powerful than any natural human legs, but no one has his legs replaced by machine legs by choice. No, that's not where current human judgment leads us. We think the cost isn't worth it. But there is a group of people that do practice radical body modification electively. Those people are the subjects of r/bimbo fetish. Why? Why do these things exist? And that purpose is voyeurism. That's what transhuman is with modern values. Porn stars becoming sex machines to maximize masturbation efficiency. That's what we as a society have judged an acceptable benefit for the cost of scientific self-improvement. Just like the internet before it, which has so many functions, the primary use is producing cum. Similarly, the right wing wants a society to be more white, and you know what I'm saying, I'm editing. The right wing wants a society to be more white because they think that by itself will fix everything. White people aren't really people to them. Whites are a political technology, which explains how cavalier and arbitrary they are about any actual economic or political positions. Yeah, I notice this myself. And I notice it when people are referring to me. Somebody once called me a useless malcontent. Useless. What should I have use for? Again, they're like, and people also say like, oh, he's useful for X, Y, and Z. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't have any use for you. Good. I'm glad I don't. Fuck off. They view people like they're just units. Like they're units of inventory. Oh, they'll do this and that. Move this piece here like you're... It's sick. It's an insane way to treat people. And that's precisely how they treat people. As a political technology, as you beautifully put it. White have high IQ. They can make anything work, these people claim. Yes, they do. But what do majority white societies do with all that IQ? They do what Scandinavians do, who were paused long before they let in kebabs. Likewise with Germany. Wasn't more than 90% European before this migrant surge. They do what New Englanders do. People who, as of last census, are roughly 80% non-Hispanic white. Besides even the pause, these white societies are the kinds of people responsible for all the immigration the right wing despises in the first place. Yes, absolutely. Blame Jews, but Ted Kennedy was no Jew. Yeah, and the French Revolution. Bunch of Frenchies, a bunch of frogs. Jean-Luc Godard, as we pointed out a couple weeks ago, who makes child porn disguised as art film. He's also pure Frenchie, pure Goyim. And unless whites unfuck their shit, their precious society of high IQ white people will be a society that inevitably uses that IQ like Ted Kennedy. Technology, even human technology, is an application of existing philosophy and theology. And the magnitude of the technology will not change this relationship. Yeah, there you have it. It's okay if white people do it. That's their worldview. It's psychotic again. Product of a mass simplification of culture. Like, if you just believe this one thing, you're okay. I'm going to try to find this here. Hold on 1 second. You're far enough into the show right now where I can kill some time here. Yeah, here we go. It says, I always love, and this is from some anonymous person, they said, I always love hearing about white working coal miners getting sick of government or corporate shit. Even if the unions were socialist, they were still white socialists. So there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. It's okay if white people are behind it. It's okay if white people do it. This is what they believe. You've documented it. You linked to an article here from righton.net, written by friend of the show, Matt Forney, Revolution and the Myth of White Socialism. You know, I actually do want to read this, but I am running out of time, so I'll save that for later. Yeah, that's what they believe. What they believe. And it's sick. And it needs to stop. But it won't. The Donald Trump candidacy, I think, is responsible for this. They've all hitched their wagon. They've all forgotten about everything else. A bunch of amnesia cases. It's pathetic. It goes to show you how easily distracted we are. Yo, CF, heard you talking about people having to be told not to bring their dogs into a grocery store. Yes, that was on a last edition of Common Filth Extra. Yeah, that's what I started off the show with. I had, the night I recorded that, I just got back from the grocery store, and I saw that sign. I took a picture of it, read from it. So don't bring your dogs into this store unless they're service animals. And they wouldn't have to put up a sign if it was just like one or two people. Like one or two occasions of people bringing their pets into the store. All right. They have multiple people every day doing that. That's why they have to put up that sign saying, like, unless your dog's a service dog, don't bring it in here. You're not allowed to bring animals where food is prepared and sold. And, you know, we wouldn't need a sign. We wouldn't need a sign at the front of a grocery store saying that in different periods of time. Like, even 10 years ago. I didn't see anybody bringing their dogs into grocery stores. But I'll continue with your comment here. I happen to be an employee of a grocery store, and in addition to seeing everyone and their mother bringing their dogs into the stores, I see the lowest common denominators, fags, trannies, etc. Most of them work here. Very sorry to hear that. Not a question, but just wanted to let you know this shit is everywhere, even in Alaska. From California to Alaska. It's not a geographic circumstance. There's something else going on here. And it is... Look, it's like, in the grand scheme of things, people bringing their dogs and not knowing that you're not allowed to bring dogs into stores. Small problem, but representative of a bigger one that people have no idea what they're doing anymore. People have no instinct. Like, maybe I shouldn't bring this animal where food is. Might rub people the wrong way. Might be, might cause a little bit of a health problem. And people they're just completely oblivious. So, yeah. Thank you for confirming that. That it's not just here. It's everywhere. Or at least in 2 states. Two parts in 2 different states. I'm sure it's more widespread than that. Yeah, you gotta reply to it. In my local store, dogs aren't allowed because they offend the religion of the store owner. That's great. All right, next. ACF regarding a brief news article in episode 104 on ex-mayor of London, Boris Johnson lifting the ban on UK embassies flying the rainbow flag. Here's a realistic and flattering painting of Boris Johnson, ex-mayor of London, once a student at Eton College, giving the rainbow flag treatment to the last remnant of a conservative the UK police approve. P.S. It looks like Imgur censors great rainbow artwork. Oh my, that is really terrible, that piece of artwork. Hey mate, that's homophobic. Yeah. Imgur is not a good organization. I don't get it. I mean, why? Again, going back to the British Isles, why? Why is it so prevalent there? I'm asking a question. Can anybody give the answer? Because I can't figure it out. Alright, next. Hola, Rabbi Filth. I wrote this out before, but I know I keep dropping this little piece of glass. I keep, and I keep dropping it on my desk. I don't know. I like the way it feels. I like how smooth it is. And I don't even know where this shard of glass came from, to be honest with you. Whatever. I wrote this out before, but my browser refreshed and I lost all of it, so I'll keep it brief. Do you have any thoughts on the books of the Bible, Hebrew and New Testament, that were hotly debated early in the formation of the collection of sacred texts? For example, books that got in, such as the Book of Esther, which refers to the Persian Empire and was written around the 4th/3rd century BC. Is that right? I hope I'm reading that right. Books that are accepted by Catholics/Orthodox, such as Deuterocanonical texts, and books that were, we think, accepted early in the history of the Jews or Christians, but later considered non-canonical, such as the books of Enoch. I took a Bible class in my university last semester, and we talked about these books, and I wanted to ask you what you knew about them, or if you ever studied the history and composition of the Bible. My friend is Orthodox, and his Bible is different to mine in various places. And I know certain African sects have very peculiar canonical texts. In various pause news, I looked up the Matthew Shepard case. I hadn't known about it till you mentioned it in 103, and saw that he was paused, and the doctor who tried to treat him had to use her bare cut hands, only to later find out he was paused and had to take a test to confirm that she didn't contract his gift. That's sick. I didn't hear about that myself, actually, so we're learning from each other. It's like a nice story. Like, oh, we're all learning a lesson here. It's like a sitcom. Like a 90s life-affirming sitcom. Called The Gift. Also, in that Bible class at university, for some reason, we have a special guest lecture about the LGBT Christ, featuring these people, men and women, who dress up as Christ at pride parades or carnival and publicly make out with one another. Sometimes while naked to protest, I guess. I have nothing to say on this, just thought you'd like to know. Yeah, I know all about it. I've seen it. I've seen crucifix-shaped dildos on sale at these horrible events. Also, the course was Bible and Western culture, which I guess explains why we had to endure that lecture. The gay man and the lesbian women were literally Christ and shit. We was Christs and shit. Take care, stay safe, and God bless. Yeah, I haven't studied the debated texts of the Bible. Yeah, that's not something I'm too familiar with. So I'm sorry I can't give any insight or information on how I feel about them. But something I'll put on the back burner, something I'll keep in mind. Have you seen this? There's not much. Look, I'll click on it, but I'm not gonna watch these videos because I know what this is. This is that LGBT exposed, hard-hitting major Russian TV film Sodom. Yeah, there was it wasn't it's a good introduction for people who aren't too familiar as to what they do. But it was a good documentary. I watched most of it, and I stopped watching it because I wasn't getting anything out of it that I didn't already know. But I'm glad somebody's doing something. I'm glad somebody's making something official and showing these people for what they really are. So, yeah, I'd recommend it to people who know absolutely nothing about the sodomite. Just a very short question for you. What is the droning track that plays in the background of AFK episode 3 from 33 to 247? I would really appreciate it if you could point me in the right direction. Well, I also uploaded a video with that same droning sound on back in early 2015 when I was promoting the Best of 2014 Common Filth Radio collection. It was like some weird like Yoga Moods soundtrack that I slowed down so to such an extent where it just created that sound, and I liked it, and I used it. So it's not officially in a track. It's just, I thought of it as like a sound effect, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. But you can find close to the full version of that in that Best of 2014 Common Filth Radio Available Now video. So no, it's not a track or anything. It's just a sound effect that I used, and I don't think I have it anymore, unfortunately. I did not back that up when I was having computer problems last year. So it just wasn't a high priority thing, but you can find close to a full version of it in that video, which is still on this channel if I'm not mistaken. Just a very short quote. Okay, I already read that. Man, yeah, I'm getting a little tired here. Alright, I'm just going to keep forging ahead until I pass out. How about that? How does that sound? I'm going to do the show until I am so exhausted that I can't do it anymore. No, not really. That doesn't happen. If that happened, you're in bad shape. I don't know, you don't go to Chan's anymore, but there's something that popped up on Poll, some website's Poll, which is being poisoned, unfortunately, regarding South Korea. I'll copy and paste what was written here as well as a few of the images. Sorry for the link, but I felt like it needed to be shared. Passing the ball about what's going on in South Korea. I'm posting on behalf of a Korean anon who's stuck in that hellhole. Media outside of South Korea is dead silent. Nobody from the outside knows what the fuck is going on. It's total mayhem. TLDR, DOM are SJW cult-like terrorists who target, vandalize, harass, and ruin men's lives. They have planned abortion campaigns where they murder male fetuses. It's kind of like the opposite of what's going on in China. They attacked an artist for being against plastic surgery by sending him thousands of snuff images of murdering male babies and fetuses, vandalizes his property, and threatened to kidnap his family. Artist sues them. DOM held a fundraiser where you buy shirts to help them pay for legal fees at dipshit feminist VA for a video game, supported them. Her company fired, her shitstorm erupted to Ragnarok levels. Entire nations divided between half the country of supporting literal terrorists that wish for the entire Korean race to be eradicated. I don't have the post, but according to Gookanon, many Korean websites that require a paid membership has boards where DOM records snuff films of them murdering their sons and aborted fetuses. That is, wow. What do I say to that? He also allegedly stated that men are being murdered on the street. There is complete media blackout on such events occurring. Here's their official website. I don't think they've uploaded snuff pictures here. Note the logo. Unfortunately, I would assume most anons here don't speak Gook. So I don't know how much we can find from digging into it. Still, I wonder who could be behind it. Well, I have nothing to add to that other than that is stomach churning. But, you know, I can't lie. Can't lie about what's happening. Can't hide it. Hey, CF, what is your opinion on Orthodox Christianity and what do you think about Serbia? Look, I don't care. I mean, I don't have no problems with Orthodox Christians. I'm sure if I looked closer at what the church practices, I'd find some problems with it, but I'm not gonna talk shit about Christians. I'm not going to. I'll talk shit about mega churches because they're not Christians, but genuinely, people who follow God's law, I'm not going to. I don't care what sect they belong to, what denomination they belong to. And what do you think about Serbia? I make videos for Serbian people. I've said this many times. Hey, see, I thought you might like to take note of this. No correlation at all. Just coincidence, alright? Gay marriage. 15,000 same-sex couples wed since law change. Huge rise in same-sex couples adopting in Wales. British social attitude. Support for same-sex marriage continues to rise. And at the same time, you are now 11.5% more likely to have a convicted sex offender living next door to you in Wales than in England. Yeah, just a coincidence, everyone. Just a coincidence. Shut up. Shh. 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 And there's this number of sex offenders living in North Wales in years. Yeah. Near 700. 700 what? There's just 700 in general? How many people are in... Oh, just in North Wales. Okay, I get it. North Wales. Just... How many people are in North Wales? Let's find out. North Wales population. Oh. Wait. So North Wales is just a... Oh, that's the United States. Okay, well, damn, how many people? How... North Wales population. I don't want to hear about Pennsylvania. That's stupid. Where's the real North Wales population? Demography of Wales. Okay. Hey, I can't find the information, but yeah, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. Let's see if I graduated from high school a few months ago and I'm currently at a loss for how I should go about continuing things. I know that I want to go to a university, but I'm not sure which one I should go to if I'm more interested in actually learning rather than attending privileged seminars and protesting for Black Lives Matter. Are there any schools left that actually use logic instead of relying on their base emotions and desires? No. No. That's just something that you have to deal with. It's not where you go, it's what you should be studying. Because, there are institutions that are better than others in terms of academics, but you're not going to escape the privileged seminars and Black Lives Matter, mandatory Black Lives Matter protests. Sorry to say, it's just the fact of university life in this day and age. And I know there are people out there that want to reform campuses, but it's just, how can you do it? So, no, there are no places that you can escape to. Sorry to say. I don't want to see. I take that back because I just got reminded of a comment that I received a long time ago. It was like an engineering college, and they said that there's very little of that on their campus. So, I forget which college it was. I don't think they mentioned it, but yeah, find an engineering college if there's a college that you can go to that specializes in just that. Which I don't know how many of those there are, but something to keep in mind. The following is a series of prayer seeds written for the United Church of Christ concerning the recent tragedy that took place in Orlando, Florida. I have a feeling it will knock your socks off. To boot, this is the first thing I'll ever be posting to reddit.com. So what is it? Amistad Chapel, United Church of Christ. Oh boy. What does this say? They say, we gather in grief, but we do not grieve as those who have no hope. For we are a people of resurrection. We gather in anger, not a helpless, vindictive anger, but one that will be transformed into effective action, as we bear faithful witness to God's just and peaceable realm. We gather in solidarity. Whatever our sexual identity or orientation, we are all members of the LGBTQ family since we are God's children together. Fuck off. God. What are they thinking? What do you think of the excerpt? Actually, it's been true all throughout history that only small portions of a population are either good or evil. The great bulk are morally neutral and capable of distinguishing absolute right from absolute wrong, and they take their cue from whoever is on top at the moment. Now, that's true to a certain extent. That's true, but, it's up to us to find the good shepherds, alright? We have to use our instincts. If we can't articulate just why they seem righteous to us, well, we need to be good at pointing out to it. We need to be good at pointing ourselves to that through instinct, and we aren't. So, when good men are the rulers and the program makers for society, the population as a whole will reflect this. Not necessarily. Because the Reagan administration they released a report on the negative effects of pornography, and everybody's like, no, this is stupid and biased. So no. People are rebellious. Like, you could have the Ronald Reagan administration, people in there writing up reports on why pornography is a bad thing, and they'll say, no, it's not. No, it's not. That's just propaganda. That's stupid. That's anti-this, anti-that. That's this, that's that. So they won't follow the rulers. There's an example of that. And there are plenty more examples. People are stubborn. They just believe what they want to believe, regardless of who's on top. And really, people are more influenced by what the person next to them is doing rather than by what some leader is doing. This is why it's like it started at the grassroots level before it leaked up to the government. The proliferation and acceptance of sodomy, of LGBTism, whatever you want to call it, it started at the grassroots level. It started amongst the common people. which I think is a product of the sexual revolution, which again was another thing engaged in by the common people. So no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, good ruler equals good people. No, it doesn't work like that. Unless they're absolutely iron-fisted, micromanaging every aspect of some drone's life, it's not going to happen. It says, I'll continue reading your comment out of respect for you. When good men are rulers and the program makers for society, the population as a whole will reflect this, and people with no originality or moral sense of direction of their own will nevertheless fervently support the highest aims of their society. But when evil men rule, as has been the case in America for many years now, most of the population will wallow happily in degeneracy of the worst kind and will self-righteously parrot every filthy and destructive idea that they have been taught. Most judges today, most teachers, actors, civic figures, etc., are not being consciously and deliberately evil, or even cynical, in following the lead of the Jews. They think of themselves as being good citizens just as they would think of themselves if they were acting in a diametrically opposite way under the influence of good leaders. Well, look, I disagree, and I just told you why. And I hope that explanation is satisfactory. ACF, I know you get asked about the modern Catholic Church, Vatican II, quite often, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone ask you about Vatican I. Look, I'm not well versed on the history of the worldly extensions of what the Bible teaches. The church, the product of what the Bible teaches. I'm not too up on that. I like to focus on Scripture. And, this is a deficiency I will address at some point. I need to, because I get asked about it a lot. So your comment continues with, I don't know how much you know about the old church, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, assuming you have any thoughts on it. I don't, but these comments remind me that there are some gaps in my knowledge that I need to fill in. So, thank you. No, sincerely, thank you. And finally, what state do you live in and what do you dislike about it? Well, I live in California. I don't like it very much, but this is where I am. This is where God wants me. It's a cultureless wasteland. That's what it is. And I'm not quite sure why people like it here. I mean, if this is where your family and friends are, fine, but on its own, it's not a good place to be. So, with all that being said, Common Filth Radio episode 105 is just about in the books. Thank you for listening, as always. Don't forget to check out commonfilthradio.bandcamp.com, the newest episode of Common Filth Extra episode 33. It is a good one. There's also merch available for sale. Supplies are limited, so get on that quickly. Of the White Girls Fuck Dog stickers, you can do whatever you want with them. You can put it on your bike, your guitar case. You can put it on a street sign on a busy street in your cozy little college town. You can cause some trouble with it. You can bring the epidemic of bestiality to the forefront and make people reveal what's really in their hearts. Don't judge. You shouldn't judge people for committing abominations. That's what you'll get out of people, hopefully, or you'll call people into action, whatever you want. But yeah, $3 for those stickers, plus shipping and handling. International shipping is available. I ship pretty quickly too, so. I say, I usually ship within 1 day, but I say put 2 days on the Bandcamp page just to account for holidays and Sundays. I don't know. I thought that the Postal Service delivers packages on Sundays now, but I'm not sure on that. But yeah, I usually ship out pretty quickly, so yeah, there's that. And if none of that sounds good to you, there is the Amazon affiliate link for AmericanAmazon.com customers. Click on that link below. Search for your item, add to your cart, check out within 24 hours of clicking that link. I get a percentage of whatever you buy, the total cost of whatever you buy, at no extra cost to you. So it requires nothing of you. It goes to me if the affiliate link is connected to my URL. So very cool. No cost to you other than what you pay for whatever you decide to buy. All right, that's all out of the way. I am done. I am spent. So I'm going to go rest up. You all take care of yourselves. Be good to each other. And I will talk to you later.
Holy cack, brother, the meme magic worked. Rainbow Gadsden's fly from shore to shore. My mail order trapper, I with my